I'm just sort of figuring out, it's so far it's felt like, you know, even though it's different than, kind of services are a little different than what I was raised with. It feels like it's, it feels in some ways, yeah, comfortable. And then I also, I've had, well, I guess other than a freshman roommate, I've had 3 roommates that I chose to live with, and 2 of the 3 were
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's streaming, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone here. And 1, 2, 3. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have a physical minyan. Of course we do. And so with that, let's start some davening. It's perfect with the, it's the time changes so quickly here with when the sunset is, and you have such a wide variation, so we don't always get this kind of perfect timing. If you can see through the window, there's a deep pinkish orange sort of sienna burning at the sun at the tree line, which is perfect for the start of Kabbalat Shabbat. So I'm going to ask you to turn to Yedid Nefesh. Let's start there, and that's going to be on page, I think, 10, and I am right. Let's do the first and last verses. Oh, what the heck. Let's do all of them today. There we go. I knew Mark. I made eye contact with you. I could see Mark was telepathically saying all 4 verses, and so we'll do them. Yedid nefesh av harachaman mishoch avdach eretzonach yarutz avdach kemo hayam yishtachaveh mul hadarach ki erav lo yedidutach Mi nofetzu v'chol ta'am Hador na'eziv ha'olam Nafshi cholat ahavatach Ana elna refana la Beharot lano amzivach Az titchazek v'titrape v'hayet alach shivchat olam v'tik yemu rachamecha v'chusna ben ohavach ki zekama Nichsof nichsav liro b'tiferet huzach Ana eli machmad libi chushana v'alti talam higalena ufros chaviv Alayet sukat shelomach Ta'ir eretz mikvodach Nagila v'nismecha bach Maher ahuv kiva moed V'chaneni Ki me'olam yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da da da. Page 11. L'chun eranena l'Adonai Nariha litzor yishenu Nikadma fanav betoda Bizmirot Nariha lohom. We continue silently for the rest of 11 and 12. Remember, there's transliteration everywhere for what we sing. And then after we finish page 12, we'll go directly into page 13. Arba'im shana akut bedor v'homar amto elevavhem v'hem lo yadu dirachai asher nishpat menuchati v'apihi, im yavon el menuchati. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom liyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo b'chol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai, hulal me'od, norahu al kol Elohim. Continue silently for as far as you can go. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot hevel b'tzedek, b'amim be'emunato. As we continue on page 15 and forward on the way to Ana B'choach, for those who are davening the Psalms, go ahead and daven the Psalms, and for those who are davening through kavanah, through mental exercise, you're welcome to follow me. And the mental exercise is that now that we are preparing to enter Shabbat by being pilgrims to this day along with other pilgrims. And we've placed down our burdens from the week and our anxieties and concerns that we will lift up again tomorrow night after Havdalah. And we've asked ourselves to be like a wild animal, like the deer or a gazelle, and let that part of us that's naturally connected to nature and to God just be naturally connected. There's nothing we have to do in order to be connected to God on Shabbat. Just have to let ourselves be connected to God on Shabbat, like a deer or a gazelle, just that follows the path naturally. So we will let ourselves follow that path. And we know that clouds and thick darkness surround the divine, and righteousness and justice secure God's throne behind. So in the Torah and beyond, we see that God is in a sense seated at a throne, but with fire and smoke and cloud and pillar in front. So too, during the week, we don't always connect directly to God. God's kindness and fairness, compassion, harmony, because of the smoke and cloud that separate us, maybe the clouds of injustice, of noise, and the weekday fashions. But on Shabbat, we know that that king, in a sense, the sovereign, is right in the throne, because God always appeared in fire and pillar and smoke. And when we sing to God, we hear a response coming, and when God sings to us, we provide a choral response the other way. So let's not let that which clouds our connecting to the divine presence cloud it now on Shabbat. Let's connect like our ancestors connected to it. Even when they were struggling, let us connect to it as all of the organisms in creation are already immediately connected to God. They are singing, their song is heard as praise and gratitude. So there's a new song playing, let us join in. Whatever you have to join in with it, it could be your lyre, it could be your voice, it could be your shofar, it could just be the sounds that you make with your mouth. Let's add that into the song all around us of all of nature already connecting, already being part of that harmony. And we know that even when the sounds coming from the other way are strong, they are in a storm. So we know that the cherubim themselves, the angels, were in the storms. Our ancestors heard God speak through the storm. And tomorrow when we recreate Mount Sinai and we read the Ten Commandments, we know it all happened during a storm. So let the challenging parts of our lives not make us feel less connected to God. Let us make them opportunities for hearing God's voice all the stronger in those challenging storms of our lives. And that takes us to page 22 for Ana B'choach. Let's reach out for a little bit more strength as we prepare for L'chadodi. Ana B'choach, Gedulat Yemincha, Tatir Tzurura, Kaberina, Amcha Sagbeinu, Taharenu Nora, Nagibor Dorshe Yichudcha, Givavat Shomrim, Barchem Teharim, Rachmem Tzidkarcha, Tamid Gomlim, Chasin Kadosh, Chasin Kadosh, Berov Tuvcha Nahel Adatecha, Yachid Ge'el Le'amcha Panei Zochrei Kedushatecha, Shavatenu Kabel, Ushmat Zakatenu Yodea, Ta'alumot, Ana Bechoach, Gedulat Yemincha, Tatir Tzurura, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We're L'chadodi on 23. At the end, of course, we'll be welcoming in the Shekhinah, God's holy presence, our bride of the Jewish people, so that Shabbat, God and we ourselves can be joined together in unity. I want to do a melody I haven't done lately, so let's L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem ol tiferet v'litilam. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra Pnei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor haberacha, mehirosh mikedem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzei mitoch ha'hafecha, Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha, V'hu yachmol alayichem la. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Page 25. V'hayu limshisa shosayich, V'rachaku kol mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kimsos chatana hakala. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yamin usmol tifrotzi, V'et Adonai ta'aritzi, Ayarish ben partzi, V'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'i v'shalom aterepala, Gam besimcha uvetzala, Toch emunei am segula, Bo'i chala. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likra hakala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We may be seated, and the sun is just below the horizon. Can we make the sun do that exactly at this time every week? We're on page 27 for the Shabbat Psalm. Mizmor shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, lehagid ba'boker chastecha, v'emunatcha ba'leilot. Mizmor shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir liyom ha-Shabbat. Turn it silently for the rest of 27 into through 28. Tzadika tamar yifrach, ke'erez bavanon yiskeh, shetulim bevet Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. O Dinuvon beseva, dishenim verananim yihu lehagid, ki ashar Adonai tzuri lo havlatabo. On page 29, will you read responsively with me? I'll read the beginning, you read the italics, and I'll read the end. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor and girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you were enthroned, you are eternal.
The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves. Above the roar of the vast sea, the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai stands supreme in the heavens.
In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time. So we conclude the Kabbalat Shabbat service again with God's being enthroned, and we've just gone through the flood, and we've talked about the fire. And I know I've mentioned it before, and some people like Mark are going to be like, not for the fourth time, Rav Nadav, but I'll just mention it again. There's a big pun in the Psalms that is part of the cohesion of this process, which is the word for cloud, and the word to reply in chorus, in a duet, is sounds the same in Hebrew, anan. So that the cloud that separates us from God's throne, actually, if we remember, the cloud also means to respond to another. If we connect to God through our prayer, then we realize God is enthroned beyond what we see, because we speak and the cloud responds, because cloud and response sound the same in Hebrew. So it's the pun on anan. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 30. I'd like to read the names at this time. And for those who are joining us by streaming, and if I read the name for you, I hope you'll unmute yourself perhaps for the period of the Kaddish, so people know that you're saying Kaddish. On this Shabbat, Beth Israel remembers, among others, Ida Apt, Marion Brickman, Leo Cohen, Nathan Dalitz, Stephen Davidoff, Robert Echt, Randy Fagan, Rose Fair, David Fallman, Seymour Feldman, Sanford Flair, Morris Foreman, Sylvia Foreman, Max Glazer, Coleman Glicksberg, Betty Greenberg, Miriam S. Jaffe Sampson, Phyllis Kroll, May Lampier, Joseph Lindsay, Sally Amster Lund, Harry Mankoff, Jules Mello, Beatrice Millett, Lillian Milstein, Robert Morris, Marta Nadler, Ranka Neuser, Charles Perlman, Ida Popovetskaya, Faye Roth, Lorraine Rothschild, Louis Saper, Francis Scharf, Leon Shearer, Harry Serwin, Norma Schifrin, May Siegel, Moshe Starkman, Harry Tolchinsky, Max Weinthal, and Louis Latkin. As we continue to say Kaddish, for Leslie Garber Matthews, Raisa Levinskaya, Alice Cohen, Toby Barban Rothaus, Vivian Perlstein, Martin Lindenauer, Bonnie Rosenberg, Harlene Appelman, Lionel Finkelstein, Sidel Popinski, David Stein, Harvey Katz, Martin Warshaw, Gidon Hofer, Lois Kluger, Beverly Bennett, Shulamit Weissman, Robert Haftel, Marilyn Krim, Robert Olenek, and now Ellen Monto. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 30 for those reciting. Yitgadal v'yikadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'ama v'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May their memories continue to bring blessings to this world. We're preparing for Mariv, which begins on page 39a in a moment. And I'm going to share the poem for the week and a very brief Hasidic story. Considering inflation, although I realize the price of maybe I'm not supposed to talk about prices on Shabbat, but I know the prices of eggs are finally starting to come down a little bit, but given inflation, this Hasidic tale came to mind from Buber's collections, of course. During a period when the cost of living was very high, Rabbi Mendel noticed that the many needy people whom he entertained as guests in his house received smaller loaves than usual. He gave orders to make the loaves larger than before, since loaves were intended to adjust to hunger and not to the price. And from, I guess, my favorite Spanish poet, Luis Rosales, this is from an extended poem called Compassion. And remember the service very much about the sounds of everything alive being a song to God that we connect to, both on Kabbalat, Shabbat, and tomorrow morning. That's the whole process of Pezukei de Zimra into Shacharit. And that in that process, we are silent listening to the song until we really get to, we have a few things we sing along with, but mostly until the Shema. We're supposed to be hearing until we get to the Shema, which says, we hear, and then we start to sing full-throatedly for the rest of the service. So hearing the song of nature initially through silence. Silence was the first of your gifts. It was silence. Lands with no grass in a trembling night, and then only your eyes between being and nothingness. What sign of love moved your tongue? It was silence. All the earth in ecstasy, like an astonished ocean. Life was song, because on the face of the waters, silence was the unity of all things. Understand that silence is like a motionless prayer. It's like the hemorrhaging of a heart. Listen. Hills, seas, islands. It is silence that is love. I place it at your feet, and with it the norm, the intention to persevere in the pure instant. I don't weep for what is lost, Lord, for nothing is ever lost. Please rise for the brief but meaningful evening service that begins on 39A. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We may be seated and we continue silently. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Umavir yom umevi laila, mavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chalenu le'olam va'ed, baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv haravim. Page 40, we prepare for Shema. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachveinu v'kumenu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla v'avatcha tasimenu l'olamim baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol lebavcha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivdecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtabtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. 42 and forward silently. Together on page 44, if you look at the very top, in the English margin, it says, joyfully sang, is anu v'amaru. And again, that's anan, ayin nun nun, and the nun drops out in certain verbal forms like this. So they spoke and they sang back to God. They sang responsively. Umalchuto b'ratzon kiblu aleihem, Moshe u'Miriam u'vnei Yisrael, L'cha anu shira b'simcha haraba, v'amru chulaham, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nohora tehilot hoseh fela malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yameru Adonai yimlo leolam va'ed v'ne'emar kifada Adonai Yaakov gol mazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai ga'ahal Yisrael. Let's read together on 45. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel. And save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. 46. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי Shabbat vayinafash. Before we do the Chatzi Kaddish and Silent Amidah, I usually share a kavanah, and I have a simple kavanah that I've probably used before. Every Shabbat, a big part of my personal Shabbat and that I share with Lynn is, I should probably do it more with the girls, is that we talk about how we need to grow and where we're trying to grow. And we see the fundamental journey of Judaism as one about what it means to exist in time and how we let go of how we grow, both with the past, but being in the moment and knowing where we're going. And that we, as you probably know, and anyone who's taken my Intro to Judaism class knows, that although there are many interpretations of the Garden of Eden, the primary rabbinic interpretation is not that it's a fall from a holier state to a sinful state, but although that perspective in Midrash does exist, so I don't want to say it doesn't entirely, but the overwhelming consensus of the rabbis is that the Garden of Eden is a story about growth for ourselves as a species, that we grew from a more simple animal-like organism state to something that is more free and more reflective. And so it's growing as a species from being children to then adolescence, and then hopefully going beyond adolescence to wisdom and creators ourselves. And so I try to talk to them about where are we growing and how do we need to grow and what we want to let go of. And so I share a little piece of Rilke's first elegy. Sometimes it is necessary to leave even one's own first name behind, forgetting it as easily as a child abandons a broken toy. It's strange to no longer desire one's desires. Strange to see meanings that clung together once, floating away in every direction. And it's hard work, full of retrieval before one can gradually feel a trace of eternity. The living are too often wrong to believe in the too sharp distinctions which they themselves have created. So I ask you as your kavanah for tonight, in a process of growth, are there desires you carry with you that you no longer desire? It's strange to no longer desire one's desires. Are there things you're going through the motions with that you still desire, but you don't desire them anymore? Where are you growing in that way? Or what is one of the two sharp distinctions that you have created that it's time to let go of? Please rise. Yikada v'yikada shemei rabba v'yamad yivrach pirutei v'yamlit malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen Yehi shmei rabba mevarach Alam olam me'al maya Yiparach v'ishtabach v'yipar v'troma v'naseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudesha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran yama v'meru 47 to 52 in silence or one of the kavanot. Those who are still davening, please continue. The rest of us can begin the repetition with singing together on 53. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvihi melachto asher asa Vayishpot bayom hashvihi mikom melachto asher asa Vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvihi vayekadesh oto. Kivo shavat mikol melachto, kivo shavat mikol melachto. Asher bara Elohim, asher bara Elohim la'aso. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim v'Aaretz, Magen Avod bidvaro, Mechaye Meitim b'ma'amaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kamohu, Hameniach le'amo, B'yom Shabbat HaKodsho, Kivam Ratza lehaniach lahem, Kivam Ratza lehaniach lahem, Lefanav na'avo v'irav afachad, v'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid, me'on habrachot. El ha'oda'ot Adon ha'shalom, Mekadesh ha'shabbat, Varech Shvi, Umeniach Piktusha, Liamedu Shnei Honeg, Zecher, Lema'aseh, V'reshim. Page 54, let's read together in the English at the top. Our God and God of our ancestors, embrace our rest. Make us holy through your mitzvot, and the Torah be our portion. Fill our lives with your goodness, gladden us with your deliverance. Purify our hearts to serve you truly. Adonai, our God, lovingly and willingly grant that we inherit your holy Shabbat, so that the people Israel who make your name holy may find rest on this day. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai mekahadesh ha-Shabbat. Yikadav v'kadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad yivrakirte, v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechonu v'yamechonav chayetucho beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kari v'imeru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach, le'alam ulam me'almaya. Yiparach v'ishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'naseh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitala shmedu kudesha b'richu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tishbchata v'nechemata da'miram v'yama v'imeru titkabal tzloton v'oton d'cho Yisrael kodama v'hon divishmaya v'imeru yehe shama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'ko Yisrael v'imeru Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'ko Yisrael v'imeru Amen. 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'te'elu lan yotzei breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosei la'aretz u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim imahal u'shchinatu zo v'gavei meromim hu Eloheinu enod emet malkeinu efesulato kaktatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashegota el levavecha ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim b'shamayim imah v'yala ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Mourners Kaddish once again on 58. Grant that the memories of those who have gone before us be a source of strength for me and for every one of the house of Israel. May the souls of our departed find peace in your sheltering care. And may we all be blessed with peace, tranquility, and the fullness of life. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah. Yalma divrak kirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mevarach v'lam ulamei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha. A few brief announcements. I've not widely publicized it, but if you know that Sunday is the Super Bowl, then you will know that in the morning it's the worldwide wrap, a long-standing tradition of the conservative movement. So please join us for Shacharit at 9:30 a.m. 1 hour service. We'll be wrapping tefillin. If you've never wrapped tefillin before, if you've wrapped before and you don't know how to do it, that makes sense because it's pretty confusing. And if you're not confused enough, there are multiple traditions of how to do it. So, which is a good way to say you can't do it wrong. Actually, you can, but we're going to help you do it in an acceptable way. And so, we'll bring extra tefillins and all that. So from 9:30 to 10:30, we'll daven, which is great because we don't get a chance to do morning davening here enough on a weekday. And then at 10:30, we'll bring in the kids. And if you can stay and use the knowledge that you have from wrapping with the small minyan we'll make, you can help the teachers wrap the kids because the teachers may not know how, and I've given them instructions. And it's just, there's nothing like wrapping an 8-year-old in licorice wrap. And I'm sorry, fruit by the foot. Sorry, it's fruit by the foot because it just looks like tefillin. And then the older kids in real tefillin. It's pretty inspiring to see kids excited about tefillin. And so that you can help make that happen. You don't have to have any knowledge necessary by coming on Sunday morning. You'll be out by 11. So 9:30 to 10:30 we daven, and then 10:30 to 11 we help the kids wrap and do the Shema with them. In addition, on Monday, February 13th, hopefully you already know, but I'm going to say it one more time. Professor Mara Benjamin from Mount Holyoke College will present the 4th annual Art and Mary Schumann Lecture. I'm so proud to know you. It's true, it's weird. Becoming Earthbound, Jewish Thought in an Age of Climate Change. Such an important topic. The event will take place from 7 to 9 p.m. on this Monday, February 13th, in the Student Center Auditorium of EMU. And please see the website for more details. Wednesday, February 14th, Zoom webinar on reducing your carbon footprint through locally sourced food. Next Friday, Aura will be here for a renewal-style davening Shabbat. And then on next Saturday, Tat Shabbat and Shabbat Shmuz. Beth, in addition, coming up soon, Beth Israel is bringing dinners to Alpha House on February 20th through 23rd. And so you can sign up to help make those dinners. And you can contact Leonore Gerstein. In addition to the online sign-up for. Sunday, February 19th, Beth Israel reads the book Black and Jews in America, An Invitation to Dialogue, and we have details on that. An adult social night will be happening, formerly called Mishmash, on Thursday, February 23rd, 7 p.m., along with our many other worthy things happening. Meg?
I have one more thing to add for those of you who regularly attend Saturday morning services, or even if you don't. Tomorrow, directly following services, as well as
So Meg is saying to those people who are streaming that make sure that you check the website, and can you tell Sam to put them in the announcements for next week? We're going to be having workshops on Saturdays after services, not only to help prepare everyone to just like know better how to do things in the service ritually, it's great, but also to prepare specifically this time for Gershowitz Shabbat, which is a reminder each year for us to try things in the service we haven't tried before. In fact, if anyone wants to do the Devar Torah on Gershowitz Shabbat, especially someone who's never done a Devar Torah before, or hasn't done one in a lot of years, why don't you come talk to me? And that could be something that you could do and stretch your wings a little bit. By the way, if you're not a Saturday morning goer, we do have a guide to the Saturday morning service. I revised it yet again, and new copies will be put out. And you're welcome to take one home. It is a lot of my thoughts about the Saturday morning service, not Friday night, but it includes a lot of information that people are constantly wrong about. And I'm always like, you could just read this and you would know that. And they're like, yeah, I'll read that someday. And then they're like, you're doing it wrong because of this. And I'm like, well, it gives you the sources in here. So or why doesn't anyone ever tell me what the service is? Like, why are we praying it this way? And I'm like, I told you before, it's right in here. Go ahead.
Is that on our website?
Jerry, well, the new version isn't because I just revised it today. We should put it on the website. Can you remember that for me? Because I can't write it down. Just throw it on a shelf or something, and that'll remind us when we see it. Why is that there? Because we're supposed to put it on the website. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, closing song. Here we go. Let's do 211. Okay, I know there are people who are in love with Yedid Nefesh. I love the tunes of Yedid Nefesh. I love the author of Yedid Nefesh. I don't like the words of Yedid Nefesh. Not Yedid Nefesh, I'm sorry. Yigdal. Sorry, of course I love Yedid Nefesh. So sometimes I like to take a break from Yigdal. Let's do Adon Olam, and let's do it to Scarborough Fair. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tifara v'hu echad v'ein sheni lehamshilo lehachbira b'li reishi b'li tachlit Lo ha'oz v'ha'misra v'hu eli v'chago ali v'tzor chavli b'ein tzara v'hu nisi umanos li Menat kosi b'yom ekra b'yado avkid ruchi be'et ishan v'ya'ira ve'im ruchi gevi'ati Adonai li v'lo ira. Shabbat shalom. Hope we have a wonderful Shabbat. As Ziva used to say, see you tomorrow.